Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Zone Blitz, the college football podcast we think you might relate to the most. I am Vince Miller, joined as always by my friend Ashton Overholt, and we are reacting to the incredible slate of Week 5 college football games. We knew going in it was going to be an absolutely nuts weekend, and it certainly lived up to that, I would say. Obviously, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Bit disappointing for me, but let's start at the top. Let's just start. Friday night we had a game, number 5, Iowa playing Maryland, 51-14. Absolutely boat raced them. Ashton, what are your thoughts here? We've been kind of vocal about our distrust of Iowa.
I think distrust is the right word. So I'm just in full disclosure here. I picked Iowa to go to the Big Ten championship in the preseason. That was one of my picks. I thought they'd have a good year. I took the over on their season on win totals. I thought they'd have a good year. I really did, and they have. Like I was right there. Like I'm not anti Iowa. I just want to start with that. Not anti Iowa. I think they're very limited. I don't. They're up to number 3 now in the AP poll, and they are not the third best team in the country. Like make no mistake, they are not the third best team in the country right now. And okay, they've had good wins. Now I will say, if they do come out and beat Penn State, I might admit that I was wrong. Like they're even better than I thought they were. But like I still think they're frauds at number 3. Like I don't think they're. Am I wrong to think that? Like, are we wrong about Iowa?
Depends on your definition of fraud. I mean, they're not a bad team by any stretch,
Sure.
and
Yes.
I think they're really good at defense and special teams.
Yes.
This offense is scaring no one. It's just not. I mean, let's get to the Maryland game. 7 turnovers
Yep.
and 10 penalties.
Yep.
It was it was a classic case of a team beating itself. Not I'm not saying Maryland would have beaten Iowa if they had not turned it over so often and had the penalties, but to me those teams looked like fairly evenly matched teams, except that one of them knew how to play smart and the other one didn't. Is that too harsh?
No, and that's what I mean. I think when we say frauds, like when I use the word fraud, I'm referring to it only in the way that they're a fraud at number 3. Like
Yeah.
they're not 3. They're top 10, I would say. You're not 3 though. Like so. Okay, I'm just gonna. This is kind of where they lose me. Here's where they lose me. Here is their top 2 receivers is a tight end, and then their running back. It was good running back, and then their number 3 receiver is actually a receiver. Like as far as leading in receptions, he has 11 for 132 yards this year. That's their only receiver with over 100 yards receiving. That's where it gets me a little bit. Like you're not going to be able to beat top teams. I think Penn State's defense is really good. If Iowa is able to come out and move the ball consistently against this Penn State defense, they will have proved something to me that they can do it, even though it looks drastically different than anything else. I just haven't seen it yet. And that's where they're losing me right now. There's no question about the defense. It's really good. They're well coached. I mean, excellent coaching staff. No one's debating that. It's the lack of creativity on offense and the lack of ability to move the ball through the air, which I think that they're limited, and that's where their ceiling is for me.
Yeah, and I will say too, obviously their defense is really good. But I saw somebody asking on Twitter this weekend, like, which defense would you take, Iowa or Georgia? No, no.
Mhm.
This is not Georgia's defense. And Iowa, props to them, I guess, for forcing all these turnovers. But that is turnovers are way more random than people like to believe when their team is forcing a bunch of them. This is not sustainable. Yes, if everyone that plays Iowa turns it over 7 times, yeah, they're going to win the national title. But that's not going to happen. And some of those maybe are forced by really good defense, but a lot of those are just really terrible decision making. Talia looked bad in this game from the little bit that I was able to watch, and it's just some horrible decision making, pressing, trying to force the issue. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a broken record at this point, and at some point, like you're winning, and that's great.
Mhm.
And Iowa is a very good team. They're a very
Yes.
good team.
Yes, they are.
They're just there's no way you can convince me they're a playoff contender.
No, Laporta, the tight end, has 22 receptions for 263 yards this year. And he's their leading receiver, and then it's Tyler Goodson, the running back, who's pretty good. I think he's averaging 4.3 yards a carry. He's their second leading receiver. He has 12 catches for 146, and then it's the receivers on the list. And like I just don't think you can do that and compete against top 5 teams. We're gonna see, like we're gonna find out. I think yeah, like we said. I mean everything that we've said before. Penn State's defense is legitimate. And I think they can contain a Iowa opened as a favorite. But I think Penn State would have an advantage in this game from simply being able to, yeah, really kind of there's no vertical threats really. You're not really concerned about deep shots from Iowa, or at least they haven't hit them yet. So yeah, well, hey, we'll see. To Iowa fans, you can still prove it. The whole season's going to play out, and if you really are number 3 in the country, which I highly doubt, we're going to find out. You're going to get a really good Penn State team, and if you roll through that and you beat Wisconsin, Nebraska, a few other good teams on your schedule, then you'll probably get to play Ohio State at the end in the Big 12. And if you win that, hey, you go into the playoff. So and then we'll really see. But yeah, no, we already spent too much time talking about Iowa. It's a really boring offense and not worthy of being in the top 5 in my opinion.
They're a team they've been able to avoid the major pitfalls, unlike a huge chunk of the country this year. I'd say from teams 3 to 20, it's a pretty weak crop this year, and Iowa has managed to be better than most in that group. So props to them for that. Okay, let's go to Saturday. The first top 10 matchup of the day. Your Georgia Bulldogs playing Arkansas without JT Daniels. Stetson Bennett played quarterback, and Georgia pitched a shutout, 37-0, absolute dominance.
Yep.
What are your thoughts here?
And okay, I'm going to sound extremely ungrateful for this, like very ungrateful for that. I was not impressed at all with the future of Georgia as a whole, with the future of Georgia football this year. It's concerning for me, for sure. I feel less good about our chances to win a national title now, we're recording this on a Sunday night, than I did Saturday morning before the game. And we blew out the number 8 team in the nation 37-0. Yeah, pitched a shutout. Unbelievable defense. It's probably going to be historically great defense. This is about the offense. Stetson Bennett got the start. He threw the ball 11 times. He completed 7. It was 72 yards. Sorry. It's why are we reverting back to this? I'm a Georgia fan. I'm biased here. I'm probably, maybe emotionally attached at this point. Why are we reverting back to this? Why are we going? We took steps forward in the beginning of the year. After the Clemson game, we got more explosive afterwards. We were taking deep shots. We were spreading the field. It was creative. It wasn't the run pass scenario that we see where you run off one tackle on first down, you run off the opposite tackle on second down, and then you probably go play action on third down. Then fourth down, you have to punt because you probably didn't get 10 yards. And it's like, why are we going back to that? I don't understand. It's like a 2018, 2019 offense again. It's very frustrating to watch. It could be. Okay, so Kirby in the post game press conference said there's a possibility JT may not be back this year. He may be back this year. He says we're hoping to get him back this year. That's the most distressing thing I as a Georgia fan have seen so far. So don't feel great. I don't feel great about it. We're not going to be winning. We're not going to be able to win a national title with Stetson Bennett as the starting quarterback, and that's how I feel about it. Sorry if I was unclear there, I guess. But everything else looks great. Like it really does. But you can't win with defense and special teams anymore. You really can't. you have to be explosive on offense. And somehow Kirby forgot that. He knew that at the beginning of the year and he talked about it, and suddenly now he doesn't care, I guess. So we have 5 stars on the bench behind Stetson Bennett that can sling the ball. Like maybe give, I'm seriously though, like Stetson played literally the whole game. At least start one of your young 5 stars so that at least he gets some valuable game reps against a pretty good defense. Well, I mean, why not? Why not at least get him some game experience? I mean, it's borderline criminal mismanagement right now in the quarterback room, and it has Kirby Smart's fingerprints all over it. If he mismanages this season again, this is the type of thing that gets you fired. It really is. He's already done this once. Jake Fromm is currently out of the league in the NFL, and Justin Fields is starting quarterback for the Bears. Don't do it again. I'm serious. He cares about talent in every position except for quarterback, which he will take he prefers the walk-ons. Like just can't get enough of them, I guess. I'm done. It was a great win. Defense is great. Offensive line showed up and got better, ran the ball well. And I don't know. I feel less good about it. I really do.
So do you think there's more to it than it's just JT is hurt and they had to go with Stetson?
Probably. I mean, I think so a little bit. Kirby wants to win that way. Kirby wants to win with running the ball. It hurt his feelings in 2019 when LSU played Georgia in the SEC championship. I was at that game in the Benz Dome, and it just a good Georgia team got completely run off the field by an LSU team that could just make explosive plays whenever they wanted. They could drop back and Joe Burrow would just run around and throw the ball 50 yards, and he did it whenever he cared to. It was a historically great team, and that hurt his feelings, and he almost changed his mind to where, like, you know what, you can't run the ball on 1st and 2nd down, then go play action on 3rd down, then punt on 4th. Like, no, I'm not sure. It does feel he's very stubborn. It's kind of what Dan Mullen's doing a little bit. I think Kirby and Dan Mullen, they probably don't like each other because they're probably about the same guy. Like, they're kind of the same guy a little bit. Like, they have their way of doing things, and they won't go to another way. Like, they're extremely stubborn. I think you saw that with Mullen refusing to go to AR-15. And he continues to stick with Emory Jones, even though the offense wasn't moving. We'll get to that maybe more in a bit, but I'm very frustrated here. Yes, this is obviously, didn't mean to get this far into the weeds on it, but hey, it can all get better if we come out and get explosive in the pass game again next week against Auburn. I'll feel so much better again. But you can't completely abandon the pass game, which is what they did here. You cannot do it, especially when you have young receivers that really need chemistry and reps. You cannot abandon the pass game. You cannot do it. And we did. So it's concerning. From a Georgia perspective, this is concerning.
Yeah, I'm a little interested by the reaction. I kind of came away thinking that Georgia is absolutely loaded everywhere, and if JT comes back, or when JT comes back, they might be the national title favorites. That was kind of my thought looking at it, watching it as a neutral observer. Because I really do think that Georgia can win the national title this year.
I agree. I think so too.
It's them or Bama if nothing drastic changes. Like we just saw Oregon lose. I mean, and Bama looked really impressive. Like, I think before the Bama Ole Miss game Saturday, I was like, oh man, Georgia might actually be better than Bama, especially if that's a close game. But then Bama did what they did.
Yep.
And we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I would. I guess you have more insight on the Georgia program than I do. Definitely something to keep an eye on. But I do think if JT comes back and is healthy and they actually play him, which I expect they will, like I feel like you have to play JT Daniels if he's healthy. You just have to. That might come down from the athletic director if it comes down to it. I mean, seriously.
I hope so. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I think if that happens, it's it's Bama and Georgia playing each other twice, the last time for all the marbles, and no one else will touch them. Just my personal opinion. Okay.
No, I would
Yeah.
agree. I just to conclude, I would agree. And this is it has the ability to be a historically great Georgia team too. Like I don't want to just sound like, but okay, my hopes are up right now, and like yeah, like they say in the show Ted Lasso, it's the hope that kills you. Like it really is. And my hope is like because Georgia is just loaded at every position. They really are like a very very good job of recruiting and developing these kids to like. There's a bunch of ballers there, and to see you just like not even care about the really if you can't throw in the play at least in the playoff area if you don't have a lethal passing attack you're not going to beat anyone good
Hmm.
and you're really not like no one's running the ball and winning titles like it hasn't happened in years and so like why do we think that we are going to is I guess where I'm coming from and where my frustration kind of stems from and maybe it's not that bad like I said it could all be taken care of next week if we come out and be explosive in the pass game against Auburn. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I don't have a good feeling about it right now.
Sure. Okay. Texas beats TCU 32-27. A game that we were interested in previewing this week. TCU, it's been well documented how they've kind of controlled this rivalry the last decade. But Texas comes out, has a pretty good showing. I wouldn't say it was necessarily dominant or anything, but yeah, good showing by Texas. You got any more thoughts on that? I guess I didn't get a whole lot of eyes on it. It was my second screen game most of the day, but yeah,
Yeah, just I don't know. Bijan Robinson just kind of did his thing. I think they
yeah,
gave him. I think he had 35 carries. He carried the ball
yeah,
35 times. But hey, Texas is it's all setting up for this next week, and we'll talk about it in our preview pod, I'm sure. But Texas versus Oklahoma is going to be a lot of fun. Red River rivalry is going to be a ball. So. Hey, and credit to them after getting absolutely bombed by Arkansas and just completely played off the field to recover like they did and to make the changes that were necessary. It looks like Casey Thompson has clearly been an improvement for them. So
yeah.
that hey, yeah, happy for him. Like I really am. It's going to be a very entertaining game against the Oklahoma team feeling a little dicey right now.
It does kind of feel like Texas is no, not back,
Yeah.
but turning a corner a bit as far as just I don't know if we're going to see as many embarrassing losses from them under
Mhm.
Sark as we have kind of gotten used to seeing. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be national title contenders anytime soon, but maybe they're learning how to just sort of adult a little more. Just as far as, win the games you're supposed to win, and then you can worry about upsetting the teams that are above you. Okay, a couple games I did not watch much of at all, but the scores are notable. Pitt 52, Georgia Tech 21. Pitt might be pretty good.
Pitt might be pretty good. We're not exactly sure yet, but we think Pitt might be pretty good.
Yes, and then the other one in the SEC, a similar type of game, I guess, as far as just wait, what? Tennessee 62, Missouri 24. What in the
Uh,
world? Like, is Tennessee good?
Welcome to the Josh Heupel area, right? My goodness,
Yeah,
airing it out. Well, running it. I guess it was mainly just running the ball. Let's be honest.
that's roughly the amount of points Tennessee scored last season, I think.
Yeah, it's really close. I Missouri has not been impressive. Like I do want to throw that
No,
out because we expected a lot more. I think from Missouri, and yeah, I don't know. That's kind of just laying an egg there. Like losses to Boston College and then getting absolutely blown out by Tennessee. Home game. That was a home game for Missouri. Had some big recruiting prospects there. I think Luther Burden, 5-star receiver, was there at Missouri for that. And he probably won't be going there. I think we can probably
ah,
say he's probably not going to be going to Missouri after that performance.
oof. All right, number 14, Michigan beats Wisconsin 38-17. Um, yeah, I think this is about what you expected going in. I
Mhm.
wasn't really sure what to expect. But yeah, Wisconsin's just not themselves this year by any stretch. And I think this tells us that Michigan is probably pretty good. Like, I don't think they're national title
Yeah,
contenders, but I think they're
yeah.
pretty good.
No, I think so too. I think Vegas is slow. Okay, Wisconsin was favored in this game. Like, right? Like, so, like, Vegas is not a big believer. Well, I think in Michigan, I'm pretty sure that Vegas just really doesn't believe in Michigan yet.
Yeah.
I do. Like, I think, like, they're balanced. Like, we talk about, like, they are run heavy, but they do have the ability to throw the ball and to score points that way. And they are doing it at a they're just scoring more points than they have in years past. Like Josh Gaddis, the OC there for him is I mean, it is clicking this year in a way it probably hasn't in years past, at least not in his tenure there. So again, yeah, it's still ahead of them. Still, obviously for Michigan, they got their big games still lie ahead of them. But this has been very impressive. I think they're up to are they up to 10 now in the AP? And
I think so. I'm not sure.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. 9. They're up to 9.
9.
So yeah, like to have for Harbaugh, like I mean, he has his haters. I'm sure. I'm a little big. I'm a kind of a more of a Harbaugh believer. I'm sure than you are. I know you're not a big fan of him, but he's been like he wins games. Like he does win games, and maybe it's not what you're hoping for, but I mean, right now, like 9 or 10 wins is very achievable for them, and that's a good year for Michigan right now. Like that's if you go 10-2, that's a good year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're a little bit similar to what I mentioned with Texas. They've been so concerned about beating Ohio State.
Yeah, yeah.
No, make sure you beat the teams that are not as good as you on paper. Win the games you're supposed to win. Then you can build your roster, and then you can figure out how to beat Ohio State from there. But it does seem like they have maybe started focusing a little more on some of that. Like just do what you're supposed to do. It's kind of what Notre Dame did a few years ago, 2017. They made some changes, and they haven't won a lot of games in that stretch that they weren't supposed to, but they have not lost to unranked teams in that stretch. Like if they are superior to the team they're playing, they win.
Yep.
Pretty simple. If Michigan can become that, maybe they can build on that. Okay, speaking of Notre Dame, the other top 10 matchup of the day, our first lock fight of the year.
Yes, it was.
You chose Cincinnati. They were a 1.5-point favorite. I went with Notre Dame. Cincinnati pulls out the win, 24-13. I figured one of us might have a quarterback rant. I did not expect it to be you, but I might have to join you. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on this game, just as a semi-neutral observer?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't call myself neutral. I was very interested in the outcome of that game. I'm a Georgia fan who has been impressed with Cincinnati ever since they almost beat us in the Peach Bowl into last year. They have a legitimate chance at the playoff this year now.
Yeah.
Like this is a huge win for them, and they have especially with Oregon losing, this was a huge Saturday for Cincinnati with some favorites going down, kind of some top teams. You're going to get another big loss this next upcoming week between either Iowa or Penn State's going to lose, continuing to open up that door for you. And as long as Cincinnati keeps taking care of business, like they're right there, and it all is possible because of this game. They were very impressive. I think Desmond Ridder, I think he was more impressive than even I thought. I thought he was would make plays.
Yeah.
But like he had deep throws over the middle and like to the sidelines, like deep shots that were accurate, timely throws, and like I mean, I was very impressed. It was even better than I thought. Better even than I thought they'd be, and more explosive. And I think that was what surprised me. Now, to Notre Dame real quick. It's kind of the Notre Dame team maybe that I thought. Like 13 points from your offense against a really good quality defense. Cincinnati has a really good defense. That's maybe what I thought. And yeah, like you've watched more Notre Dame than I have. Like you're the resident Notre Dame fan. We can go into that more in depth. But like for Notre Dame, this isn't like that's kind of who we thought they were. Like that's not I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. I think that's kind of that's kind of what we were expecting, I think.
Well, I wasn't expecting Chris Tyree to let a kickoff bounce off his chest and bounce to Cincinnati. My goodness. Anyway, I interrupted you.
No, I think that's it.
It's so I have my own thoughts, and I'll get to those, but I'm curious to hear your opinion. I'm always interested to hear what other people think of my team, because obviously I have bias and
Hmm. Hmm.
can tend to see things either through rose-colored glasses or the other lens where I'm just like, wow, we are just the worst,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
Yep.
and Jack Cohn started this game, played just horribly. Didn't do anything. Horrible red zone interception in the first quarter after actually leading a pretty good drive.
Hmm.
And they had a really legitimate chance to go up 7-0 and throws an interception off his back foot. He was being pressured. So, yeah, put a lot of blame on the offensive line. Broken record there. But you just can't make that throw. You're a senior. You can't do that. You take the sack, whatever. Don't throw that ball away. Um, didn't play well. They got shut out in the first half. Second half, they started Drew Pine. He played quite a bit better than Cone. He might not be quite as efficient as Cone. His completion percentage was lower, but his yards per attempt was way higher. There just seemed like there was more life in the offense when Drew Pine was out there.
Hmm.
Mobile, kind of reminds you a little bit of an Ian Book, just the way he can run around a little bit, and not exactly the same quarterback. I'd say he's a little bit different passing the ball than Ian Book was, but did some good things and got this game. It was 17-13 in the fourth quarter. It's really all the momentum had swung to Notre Dame. They needed
Hmm.
one stop on defense, and they could have had a chance to win the game, but they just couldn't get that stop. And credit to Cincinnati. Desmond Ritter made a big throw down the seam,
Yep.
just a big drive.
Yep.
Um, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts? If Notre Dame doesn't have 3 turnovers in the first 16 minutes of this game,
Hmm.
and if Drew Pine plays the whole game, how do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, I think the early interception that Book threw, I think it was his first one, were to really no one in particular down on the goal line, and it was like there was just no one even close, and he wasn't. It wasn't like he was being hit and the ball went there, and yeah, I'm not sure. I just miscommunication or something, but clearly he just kind of threw the ball to Cincinnati there pretty much, and it was, I think at that point yeah, I think that was probably where it was like this could kind of go south here a little bit. Like they don't look like they know what they don't really have a clue about Cincinnati's defense. Like Cincinnati had them kind of confused, it seemed. And yeah, the offensive line, like kind of a broken record at this point, but just, yeah, didn't play well. There wasn't just a whole lot of push in the run game, and Cincinnati was able to get pressure. I don't know how many sacks they had, but
It was
they
actually only
affected.
2 sacks, but
Yeah.
it felt like more than that, just based on the way they were playing.
Yeah, they had a lot of pressures, and I think they had the other interception came when as he was cutting it loose and got hit,
Buckner,
and
yeah.
yeah, right, and then that one was picked off also for Cincinnati. So they had a big early lead, like since he did, and I don't know, like at that point, I just really didn't feel that Notre Dame had the offense to kind of get back into it. Like, and to their credit, they kind of did, but you never really felt that they were going to take the lead on them. And I don't know, maybe that's me just not believing in Notre Dame, but I think it's kind of the team that we thought, like not a super high ceiling, very fundamentally sound. You beat up on Wisconsin, but against a Cincinnati team that's probably a notch better, a notch more elite, just don't have the horses in the long run to stick with that.
Hmm. I will say, I don't come out of this game having a way lower opinion of Notre Dame. Like, I never saw them as a title contender. I thought
Hmm.
maybe they were a playoff contender.
Yeah.
So that's changed. And then obviously there's bright sides to that too, as far as like if you play it right. In
Hmm.
my opinion, we should not see any more of Jack Cohn this year.
Yeah.
We should not see any more of Kane Madden or other like senior subpar senior offensive linemen.
Hmm.
Um, get some freshman receivers in the mix. Lorenzo Styles had a really nice catch in this game when they were trying to come back, and then immediately he's out of the game again, in favor of, well, not maybe not. It was him and Colsey, Deion Colsey, their other highly ranked true freshman, the Georgia kid.
Hmm.
Um, we're in there playing for a little bit. Out they come. Braden Lindsey, to his credit, he had the big catch, but Kevin Austin, this is a guy who we've been hearing about for years, literally, about how incredible this guy is. And when he's on, yeah, it's great. Last week against Wisconsin, 2 touchdowns. He has Chase Claypool like athleticism, but you cannot drop that ball in fourth quarter when you're wide open. He was getting bodied by Sauce Gardner all day, and then you finally have a chance when you're trying to mount a comeback, and you get hit for a wide open first down, and you just drop the ball. And it's happened multiple times this year. It's just not happening. Play the young guys, get them some experience. I want to see nothing but Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner the rest of the year at quarterback. Yeah, I don't know. So I, this is clearly not a playoff team now. Like they're behind Cincinnati in the pecking order now.
Right.
Like the only way they make the playoff now is if everyone else loses twice, other than Alabama and Georgia. Like that's the only way. So go out there and develop the young guys. Also, what is today? October 3rd. 2 months from now, I'm a fan. I'm allowed to say this. Jeff Quinn needs to go, the offensive line coach, and Dell Alexander needs to go, the wide receivers coach. Those are the two guys that have been under the most heat for several years now, and I'm ready to jump on board. Like, it's been atrocious. We have senior receivers that are not playing well. We have offensive linemen who were top 100 recruits that can't figure out how to play offensive line. It's not that hard, and no one expects them to be great because they lost 4 starters. But you have to be competent. You have to find a way to be competent. You're working with top 5 level offensive line talent, probably top 3. Like there's Georgia, Alabama, maybe Ohio State, maybe recruit at the same level as Notre Dame does on the offensive line. You simply can't be this bad. It cannot happen. And I know Jeff Quinn is a huge. He's him and Brian Kelly are very good friends. Sorry, Kelly. You and Brian Van Gorder were really good friends too. You had to fire him. You did it, and it worked out. You need to do the same thing here. Like you just have to get rid of Jeff Quinn. Maybe he'll stick on as some analyst or something. That's great, but he is not the offensive line coach for Notre Dame in the future. Next year, Notre Dame plays Clemson and Ohio State. I feel like they actually have a chance in those games if they play to their roster's talent level on offense. The defense is fine. You gave up 24 points to Cincinnati while turning the ball over 3 times on offense and giving them short fields to work with. That's fine. It's not like that. It was a little disappointing they didn't make that stop in the fourth quarter when they were trying to drive. But you give up 24 points to a top 10 team, you can live with that. The offense needs to figure it out. And you talked earlier about recruits at the Missouri game. Notre Dame had all kinds of recruits there Saturday. Some huge class of 23 guys. And I don't think it's over. Like I do think Notre Dame now you want to go 11-1, and then you want to win a major bowl game. And that's a successful season considering everything you lost. And you get to go into the next off season with really positive momentum. But you got to start playing better on the offensive line. That's where that is the main issue. And also you got to start playing some young guys at quarterback and receiver, I think. It was a rough watch.
Well, by the way, like 11-1 and going to a really good bowl game, like a New Year's Six bowl, is a good year. Like,
Yes.
Especially like a team that went to the playoff last year and lost a lot. Like lost a lot the last couple of years just as far as production that's been gone. It's a very different looking team than it was 2 years ago or even last year. So like rebuilding years do happen. Like I think people get kind of an Alabama syndrome where we can reload too. Like we're just going to go right back to the playoff again next year, and when in reality that's not always the case. Like it's really not. And sometimes going 11-1 or 10-2 and going to a really good bowl game is a good year. Like there's, especially when you're playing young guys, you're breaking in a new quarterback and you're playing younger players. That's successful sometimes. And which is kind of where we both thought like preseason that Notre Dame was. Like like we didn't pick them to go to the playoff, but
I
they were
was
that next
close.
tier down. Were you really?
I had them as sixth in the country.
Okay. Yeah.
And I will say, like, I think part of the reason I'm disappointed so much is because in the year when teams 3 through 20 are all down,
Hmm.
I really think that Notre Dame does have the horses this year, that if they would be playing to their potential, they could be the number 3 team. They would not beat Alabama or Georgia, but you could make the playoff with a team like that. And if you happen to avoid Alabama or Georgia in the first round, you could actually win a playoff game. That
Hmm.
would be huge for the program. Um, and it's not going to happen. And yeah, you can say it's a rebuilding year and they don't just reload the way Alabama does. That's true, but they have not played to their potential this year.
No, yeah, like that's fair. I mean, I would agree, but I guess maybe what I was saying it's hard to always be at that elite level every year without having some drop off here or there. And like probably, yeah, especially when I think it's really hard to replace quarterbacks. I think that's underrated about how hard it is to replace quarterbacks. Like Alabama makes it look so easy because you go Jalen and then you go Tua and then it's Mac and now it's Bryce Young and it just clicks, bang, 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 and just clicks right through. But like I think it's really difficult. I think Clemson and Ohio State found that out this year. That's hard to do. I think maybe even Oklahoma found out to a point that that's just really difficult to do. And yeah, like you're replacing a guy that's been there for seems like forever in Ian Book and just was always. I felt like he was always making the right decision, kind of the had moxie or whatever like that. Like he was just a gamer. He just gamed. He balled out, and you're going to a bunch of guys that have very little experience, and you're playing them in big games. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate if you expected more. Maybe is my point.
Sure. All right. So there were four top 10 teams that lost Saturday. Notre
Huh.
Dame and Arkansas both lost to higher ranked teams. One of the others, number 4, Oregon. They lose to Stanford 31-24. And I believe you went on record in our last podcast saying that there was zero chance you would watch one play in this game. Did you watch any of this game?
I did say that. Yeah, I did say that. I did watch a little bit actually. I will say I actually turned it off. It was I think with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Oregon had the ball, and I assumed that was game over. And because there was no way Stanford was ever going to go that far, and it was just to tie it. Like and it was like there's
Yeah.
yeah, Stanford has zero chance of tying this. Which to be fair, they just barely did. But that hey, huge drive. Tanner McKee just clicked them right down the field. I mean, it was just bang, 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 and Oregon got absolutely screwed on that last holding call in the end zone on fourth down. Oregon should have won this game, and yeah, they got hosed on an off or a defensive holding call where he I mean just barely brushed him in a game that was physical between the receivers and corners, and they were just letting him play all game long, and then you call an absolute ticky tack on the last and then give him an untimed down, and then they score and send it to overtime and win there. Disappointing for Oregon. I think Pac-12 is probably out of the playoff race. I think that's what this means. I would struggle to see how Oregon could. The only way they could is if Ohio State is good too, and then Oregon can then use that win as like, hey, we went to Columbus and beat Ohio State. I don't see it happening. Like I don't see a path to Oregon for the playoff because of this, and like it's disappointing because like it would have been really fun to see Oregon in a playoff. I, I think it's over. I really do think it's over. Am I wrong to think that?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think I would tend to disagree. Just okay, so let's assume for 1 second, just for the sake of argument, that Ohio
Hmm.
State and Oregon both go 12-1, win their conferences. Right now in the AP poll that just came out, Ohio State is ahead of Oregon. Do you think the committee would do that, considering that Oregon went to Ohio State and won that game?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Do you think they would?
I don't think so. Like I think you would have to have Oregon ahead of Ohio State in that situation. Not?
Yeah, there's a lot of loyalty to Ohio State from the committee. Like, I mean, I really think there is, and they're going to have a chance for more impressive wins going forward. like Oregon's chance at impressive wins are almost done. UCLA got beat, and again, maybe we'll talk about. But like where are these wins going to come from for Oregon? Like I don't see a path to really tick back up the rankings really. Whereas Ohio State has a very clear one.
Yeah, I mean, you make a fair point there. I just feel like if you have two Power Five champs
Mm-hmm.
that are both 12-1,
Yep.
and they played each other, and the road team won, like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I think that would, like, if they would go with Ohio State, that might be the first time this year, or it's not, I'm sorry, the first time in the playoff era where we can like legitimately say they screwed up, because I don't think that the committee has really screwed up the four teams yet,
Right.
but we'll see. I mean, it may or may not even come to that. One of these teams might bail the committee out of that decision by losing another game. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what happens if that actually does, if that's the way it plays out.
Uh-huh.
Okay, another top 10 team that almost lost but escaped. One of my locks of the week was Kansas State, and they did cover, although they did not win.
Nice.
Oklahoma beats Kansas State 37-31. Not gonna lie, I had a much busier day yesterday than I planned on, so I was not able to watch this game or a whole lot of the games after this. Just had, I mean, I was watching scores and not much else, unfortunately, the rest of the way. So I'm going to rely on you for a lot of the thoughts as far as these games individually and what happened in them. I might have more big picture takes. But did you watch any of this game, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I did watch bits and pieces of it. Skylar Thompson did play in the game.
Hmm.
I think we even said that he wasn't going to. I think he had actually been ruled as either doubtful or out for this
Hmm.
game, and played pretty well. Three touchdowns. Deuce Vaughn was terrific. Most of Deuce Vaughn's action was in the pass game, but yeah, didn't just run the ball a whole lot. Oklahoma's defense played well. I know they gave up 31 points. Their defense actually played really well. They had a big lead. Kansas State got a few touchdowns late, kind of made the score closer. It was a big backdoor cover for you and for the podcast. So at least you got one of your locks right. I think, hey, 3-1. By the way, for
Yes.
locks for the pot. Nice. That's hey
Which
another.
which was as good as we could have possibly done, considering we had a lock fight.
Yes, we had a lock fight, so 3-1 was the best possible scenario, which was good. So no, yeah, another good week, and yeah, keep betting on us because we are performing for you. So
That's right.
Spencer Rattler, big bounce back game, played well. He had only 3 incompletions. He did throw one pick, but yeah, they were able to move the ball. It seemed almost at will, and I actually came away from this maybe a little bit more impressed with Oklahoma. It wasn't the same struggle game maybe that they had that you see maybe against like when they played Nebraska where it was just disjointed. This looked a lot better against a good Kansas State team. Yeah, I think we all think the Kansas State team is pretty good. So yeah, an impressive win for Oklahoma, and it's hopefully they have a few things clicking because they're going to need to this week.
All right. Number 11, Ohio State, 52, Rutgers 13. A week after Rutgers lost to Michigan by one touchdown, they kind of get mollywopped by Ohio State. Is Ohio State back?
Yes, probably. I probably. C.J. Stroud 5 touchdowns, kind of standard procedure again for the Ohio State offense. They they might just blitz the rest of the Big Ten. Like Ohio State may just go on and just okay, hey, we figured out our problems and we fixed them, and it is over for the Big Ten as a conference. That may have happened in this game. Like you could kind of point back to this game as when it changed. They all look good. I mean, yeah, everything just worked. Like yeah, didn't watch much of it. And Rutgers is vastly outmanned. I think they have a good coaching staff, but not the talent there clearly to hang with an Ohio State team. So Ohio State is back. I am afraid. I hate to see it. I really do. I am not an Ohio State fan by any means, but Ohio State is in fact back.
Man, that sucks. All right, the number one team in the country, Alabama 42, beats number 12, Ole Miss 21. Um, I was impressed here with Alabama. I did get to watch some of this game. Um, yeah, Ole Miss put up a fight, had some fourth downs that didn't work out for them. Um, and it felt like Alabama just kind of like said no. It was fun while it lasted, but no, we're better. And their defense, like wow, you have to be really impressed with Alabama's defense. Did Ole Miss score in the first half? If they did, it was late.
No, they did not. It was 28-0 at halftime.
28-0 at halftime.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mentioned
Hmm.
earlier that maybe before this game and seeing what Georgia had done earlier in the day, I was maybe leaning towards Georgia being the best team in the country. They might still be, but I think this proves once again we have a clear top two. It feels like we have two really good teams in the SEC that are the two best teams in the country, and they'll be facing each other in the SEC championship game. I would assume.
Hmm.
Do you have any more thoughts on this game other than just being really impressed with Alabama?
Um, I mean, no, not really. I think in a lot of ways it was kind of easy to call a little bit because so Ole Miss comes into this. They've had a good year, successful. Matt Corral has been terrific. Kind of a high player in the Heisman race. You know, he's kind of right in there. And they scored a bunch of points last year against Alabama. And you have Nick Saban, who is he hasn't been happy all year long. And Nick
Yeah,
Saban's happy when he's not happy. Like this is peak Nick Saban. Like he likes when his team has some mistakes, so he can just blister them in practice. You know, and that's kind of what it was. Like it was not a fun couple of weeks, I'm sure, in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama team, really since the Florida game. And you could kind of see this one coming. Yeah, right away, Lane Kiffin. I don't know if you watched this or not, but Kiffin at the opening in his opening interview right before the kickoff, he said, "Get your popcorn ready." And then he actually took his headset off and then just like lobbed it at the camera guy. He answered one question and then just like lobbed his camera yeah, lobbed his headset at the camera guy and then they proceeded to give up 28 points in the first half and score zero. The game was over really on Ole Miss's first drive. They actually drove the ball
yeah,
into I think to the Bama 6 and
yeah.
then on a 4th and 1 got stopped and the game was honestly it was over at that point. Yeah, very impressed with Alabama. Ole Miss and Arkansas found out that there's levels to this game.
Yeah,
There's levels to being. There's a difference between being good and being elite, and Alabama is elite, and Ole Miss is still good,
yeah.
and there was a big gap between the two. If yeah, I'm not sure what else you can really say about it. It was an extremely impressive performance by the Tide.
And I will say, like, yeah, Ole Miss they went for it on a number of fourth downs, and they could
Yep.
have kicked field goals, and the final score would look closer. But I also feel like they played to win. They didn't play to not get blown out, and I really like that. Like props to Lane Kiffin for actually trying to win the game. Um, there was quite a bit of thought out there last year as a Notre Dame fan when Notre Dame played Alabama in the playoff that they were playing to not get blown out. Um, yeah, and I guess credit to them. I guess like they didn't lose to Alabama by as much as Ohio State did in the championship game, but I still prefer the thing of actually trying to win the game, which is
Yep.
obviously clearly Lane Kiffin wanted to win this game, going for it on fourth downs because he knew he needed touchdowns. Like field goals weren't
Mhm.
going to cut it. So yeah, it might make the final score a little more lopsided when you don't kick the field goal, but you're trying to win the game. I respect that a lot.
Yep. Yep, for sure. And Kiffin even said in his post game presser that like even if you punt to them, like it just means they're going to score. It might take them just a little bit longer to score. Pretty
Yeah,
much just admitting like we have no answers for them on defense. So
right.
why not use all four downs to try to score on offense? Which is
Hmm.
like I understand it. Like I'm actually like that's probably a good way to attack Alabama, especially if you don't think you have answers for them on defense.
Absolutely. All right, another top 10 team that got upset. Um, battle for the SEC East here. We said it was maybe for second place.
Hmm.
Kentucky beats Florida 20-13. Um, yes, you mentioned some about Dan Mullen not playing the young, exciting quarterback in similar fashion, maybe to Georgia
Uh-huh.
and Notre Dame. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on this game?
I watched a lot of this one. I was rooting for Kentucky, and full disclosure,
Surely not.
was absolutely on the Kentucky train. Props to them. Like that's their first home win against Florida, I believe, since the late '80s. I believe it's been since the late '80s. So hey, that's really impressive. But Florida blew this game. Let's do not make any mistake here. Florida was the more talented team and blew this game. They had full starts. There was they weren't getting the play calls in correctly. Everything was off. Emory threw a late interception that was it was just an extremely bad pick. Like he threw it. I mean, he just clearly didn't read the defense almost at all and threw it right into his zone coverage, and just right at a guy. And Kentucky didn't really move the ball, but after that pick, short field, went and punched it in and went up 2 scores at that point. Yeah, and it was over because Kentucky really played well on defense. It was everything that Kentucky is. It's defense. Will Levis was 7 of 17, 87 yards. He had a touchdown, but also had a pick. 87 yards, and you beat a top 10 team. And I'm not sure. Chris Rodriguez, he had 19 for 99 and a touchdown. So no offensive explosion. They got a special teams touchdown. A kid actually from here in Jessup, Georgia, a true freshman for Kentucky, ran a ball back. I think it was 76 yards there in the third quarter. And they took the lead for good. So hey, credit to Kentucky. They are now second place in the East, and Florida with 2 SEC losses is out of it. Like it's over. It all ended right there for them, and I'm enjoying it. Like I enjoyed every second of it. I really did. Watching Dan Mullen lose it's just there's something to it. It probably does more for me than watching Georgia win. Maybe. It's just wonderful because his press conferences afterwards they're just gold. Like you must watch it. You must watch his post game pressers after a loss. It's wonderful. But Florida cost them this game. I mean, Florida cost themselves this game with just the penalties, sloppy plays, bad special teams, and I'm okay. So here's something we do our coaches draft. Like we do our coaches draft, and we Dan Mullen gets all the push. Like he's a media guy. Like media guys like him. I'm not really sure why, but media guys really like Dan Mullen. In this broadcast, as they're in the middle of putting up 13 points, one of the announcers said, this is on ESPN, one of the announcers said that Mullen is a quarterback whisperer and an offensive genius. He then put up 13 points. And it's just that's the kind of thing like everyone calls him a genius, but is he though? Like I'm not really sure. Like if you have a really, really good quarterback, maybe you should play him. Like maybe instead of Emory, who was okay, but like he was never going to lead a long touchdown drive. It didn't feel like they actually did have a chance there at the end and missed on a throw in the end zone, kind of as time was running out. But like you really felt like you could stop him, and Kentucky did. He only put up 13 points. That's not enough. That's not enough to win. I'm not sure. Hey, we'll see how Florida fans are feeling. Like, I'm not sure what their mood is. I would be very frustrated if this was happening to me, kind of with the way last year ended and the way this year has started. But hey, at least they lost. They played Alabama close. That's what they want you to believe. They had a moral victory. Maybe this could be another moral victory for Dan Mullen.
Oof. It does feel like Dan Mullen is kind of that high ceiling, low floor guy. And Mark Stoops is the opposite of that. He's never going to win a national title at Kentucky or anything, but he's a high floor guy. And 7-point game. If you just told me the score, not which team won, if you'd have told me this game was 37-30, I'm like, oh, okay, Florida won. If you tell me 20-13, that's up in the air. Like that's the range where Kentucky's comfortable. They can win games 20-13, and they were more than happy to oblige. Obviously, here, Kentucky's a good team. They're not a great team, but they're a good team, and if you let them, they will beat you. You mentioned last week that you would have taken unranked Kentucky over, I think it was a couple Big 12 teams that were
Yes.
ranked and
Yes, I would
undefeated.
have.
Oklahoma
Yep.
State and Baylor, I believe you said.
Hmm.
And I think you're probably right on that. And
Yep.
yeah, Kentucky, we might see them creep up in this poll. Uh,
Yeah, they're
they're not,
16 this week. They're 16.
yeah, I don't think they're a top 10 team, but they're a really good team. Okay, another SEC team that got upset. Number 15, Texas A&M scores 22, gives up 26 to Mississippi State. Um, yeah, Mississippi State might be decent. Texas A&M might be bad. Which one are you leaning towards?
I'm not sure. I hate to say that Mississippi State's good, but hey, this is another kind of like one of those head scratchers. Like this is the same Mississippi State team that like almost lost to like that. Well, they did lose to Memphis and like should
Yeah,
have lost to like Louisiana Tech. No, I'm not sure. I mean, Will Rogers, yeah. So here's his stat line's always fun to read. This is Will Rogers' stat line. He was 46 of 59. 59. He almost threw the ball 60 times. It's kind of par for the course, really, for him. 408 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then no interceptions. No interceptions on and in 60 throws. Hey, that's really good. Yeah, very impressed with that. They can't run the ball at all. They don't even try. I mean, yeah, why try? Um, it's Mike Leach game. This is Mike Leach. He's gonna pull a couple of these games out every year where he's gonna come and he's gonna coach his team to to kind of just hang in there and beat a team that they have no business beating. A&M's the more talented team and they got beat fairly. So yeah, on the A&M side, Zach Calzada's been rough. It's been back to rough again. Did you watch this game at all or no?
I did not. No.
No, yeah, Spiller again was good. He had 100 yards on only 16 carries, and I guess the same question as last week. Why did he only get 16 carries? Like, yeah, not really sure. I think the A&M line could maul people. Like, I think you should, if you can't throw the ball at all, at least run it. Yeah, I don't know. That's a rough loss for A&M. Jimbo's going to be facing some heat down there before too long. Just signed another big extension, but this is a bad loss.
Would you rather have Dan Mullen or Jimbo Fisher? Let me throw one more name in there, Brian Kelly. I think those three were kind of all grouped together in our coaches draft.
Yeah.
How do you rank those three?
Brian, Jimbo won a title though. Jimbo won. Just no.
Ed Orgeron won a title.
Yeah, I know. You can't. Dang it. I mean, okay. I'd probably go Brian Kelly 1, Mullen 2, Jimbo 3. But I mean, it's so close. Like I think Kelly for me is number 1 fairly clearly. But the difference between the other two, I take your pick.
I think my point with asking that question is more about who's last in that group, and I think Jimbo's probably last in that group.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, and
Yeah.
that doesn't say anything all that incredibly great about the other two necessarily.
Right.
I'm just, man, I'm a little down on Jimbo. They need to figure the offense out. He's been there for a while. The offense has not been great yet
No.
under him.
No.
So, all right. The previously mentioned ranked Big 12 teams that played each other. Oklahoma State 24, Baylor 14. Oklahoma State just keeps finding ways to win ball games. They're kind of an ugly 5-0, but they're 5-0.
I did not watch you play from this game. So
Same.
just to go ahead and throw this one out there. Full disclosure, didn't watch even a little bit. I tried. There's so much going on though too. Like it's hard to watch them all. I think I had three
Yes.
or four screens out at one point and wasn't quite able to keep up with everything. So Oklahoma State, got an early lead, just kind of sat on it. It has the potential to be really dicey, like in the Bedlam game that we keep referring back to. Yeah, keep winning and you make that one interesting. They're not a playoff contender, I don't think.
No.
But still, like if they go undefeated, if they do somehow go undefeated, like they'll probably find a way to squeeze in there, especially if you beat, Oklahoma. I don't know.
By the way, Spencer Sanders threw 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, he did. He's not been good. It hasn't been good. I'm not sure. They keep winning though. They do keep
Yeah.
winning. Baylor was in a little bit over their skis, I think. I don't think Baylor was a top 20 team. Like, well, they're ranked 21. They're not. Like that's not them. Like we said, I would have picked Kentucky to beat them and been comfortable about it. I'd pick Kentucky to beat Oklahoma State today. So yeah, I think there's levels to this. And for me, this was a tier below. I know they're both ranked, and that's probably why a lot of people watch this game. I didn't, because I still view both teams as probably top 40, not top 25.
We had a Baylor coach, a Baylor fan on YouTube this last week tell us that, well, I guess so. In our recap of the Baylor Iowa State game, we mentioned that we think Matt Campbell's, the better coach in that matchup, and he proceeded to tell us that Dave Aranda is clearly better than Matt Campbell, and that Baylor is going to eventually like win a national title under him or
Oh,
something.
really?
So
Yeah.
thought that
Yeah.
was interesting. Just side note, I guess, that this happens then after. Don't trash talk us too much, because then you either lose to Memphis or you lose to Oklahoma State. That's what.
One more good year for Baylor, and Dave Aranda is going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. So sorry, but he will probably be trying to go to Colorado or somewhere.
Okay, so probably the biggest game of the week. Definitely one of your five to watch. Vanderbilt 30, UConn 28.
Yeah.
Clark Lee gets win number 2 at Vanderbilt.
He does.
They have now won 1 in a row.
Yes.
Thoughts on this game? Did you watch it?
I did. I did. Yeah, I did. Game-winning field goal. It was. This was a game, I mean, watched by dozens. I mean, just all eyes were on them. Yeah. Hey, last-minute field goal. There was no time left. Joseph Bulovas, the ex-Alabama kicker, I don't know if you remember that name, Bulovas, the kicker for Alabama, had a 31-yarder as time ran out. But it was fun. Like, this was a fun game. Big comeback for UConn. Proudly had it in my top 5. I'd do it again. That was fun. Like we said, the 50-yard line tickets down close to the front. Prime tickets were $6. So if that says anything about the type of people that were watching that game. So hey, it was a lot of fun, and you don't get many of these. And credit to UConn. Almost got a big win against an SEC team. You're 0-6 now, but you almost had it, and that's you came back, you fought. Unfortunate for UConn.
Yeah, people that know more about UConn football than I do said that they seemed like they're a different team since their quarterback changed. Apparently, I guess Tyson Pumachan, Clemson's backup, he has a younger brother that's now playing quarterback for them apparently, and I guess they're a lot better with him. So I don't know, we'll see. But
good to know. Good to know.
Probably the last time you'll watch UConn this year, but hey,
that's correct.
You never know.
And Vandy, probably
and
last
Vandy.
time. Last time we can watch either one of these teams.
All right, number 25, Clemson 19, Boston College 13. Once again, Clemson fails to do much on offense, but their defense, I guess, bails them out.
Boston College should have won this game. I watched this one a lot. This was also my top 5 to watch. Boston College absolutely should have won this game. They were driving, and late in the fourth quarter, I think it was a minute and a half left, and just a bad snap gets away from Grosel, the quarterback, and Clemson falls on it. That was tough to watch. It was tough to watch even as a neutral. Like Clemson is not good. Clemson, I think, they did. They dropped out of the AP top 25 after this game, even though they did win. I'm not sure. The alarm bells have to be just going off at this point for Clemson, because this is an issue. Like, we talked about this one being kind of a statement game. Is Clemson better? Like, has Clemson fixed all of this? And the answer is no, I don't think so. They had a lot more injuries in this game. Justin Ross didn't play much in the second half, if at all. I know he was in street clothes when I saw him. So a lot of injuries. Will Taylor he's kind of their slot guy, maybe like the next Hunter Renfrow. I know he went out. Joseph Ngata was good. He really I think it's number 10 for him. He's played well. He had 4 for 111. So good performance from him. But I hope DJ figures it out. I really do. I don't want to see it it's tragic. Like it's really rough to watch right now, and like I'm not entertained by it anymore. Like I'm kind of done being entertained by it. I really hope they get it figured out because it's tough.
It's bizarre. Like, when's the last time
Yeah.
a team that has been so good for so long, like, and has a top five roster easily, has just, I don't know, like they can't figure it out. They can't find a way with a 5-star quarterback who played well a year ago
Mm-hmm.
in spot duty. Like, I mean, Notre Dame has been playing football for almost 130 years. The all-time record for passing yards against Notre Dame in a single game is held by DJ Uyunglele.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and
Yeah.
he and they score 19 points against Boston College, and they just can't figure it out. So
No. And if Boston College doesn't turn it over 3 times, like they win this by
yeah,
2 scores. They would win this game by 2 scores.
that's crazy. All right, a game I had on my games to watch list, and I mentioned this could be like a potentially upset watch, but also you might turn it off in the second quarter and never go back to it because it's over. Kind of turned out to be the latter. Number 4, Penn State 24, Indiana 0. Indiana gets shut out. This oof. This is rough. Indiana has definitely fallen off from a year ago. Michael Penix is just not the same guy. I guess they miss Whop Phillier. Their kind of was their playmaking receiver a year ago. He was really good, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they still have talent at receiver. Like, I don't know. This is weird. I don't quite understand what's going on here.
It's bizarre. Penix 10 of 22 for 118 and a pick, and you get shut out. You get the old goose egg. Hey, Penn State, good defense, really good defense though. In fairness,
Yeah.
they are legitimate. They have playmakers too, so it's gonna be fun. This we're gonna find. I think Penn State's frisky. Like Penn State is they're kind of a sneaky playoff pick right now at this point.
Yeah.
It feels like if they beat Iowa and they do have to play Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio State. So they have like, I mean, that's a really tough schedule remaining for them yet. But Penn State is frisky like right now, and if they are the Big Ten champ, they for sure have a chance to get in for sure.
The Big Ten has 4 teams in the top 10 right now. How would you rank them in order of like how good they actually are? Or let me ask it a different way. At the end of the season,
Yep.
what order will Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa be in your opinion?
Just exactly that. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, then Iowa.
Okay.
I think I think Ohio State, like we talked about earlier, they're about to blitz through the Big Ten. They're going to hang 50 on a lot of people. And I do think that the Ohio State Penn State game is going to be a lot of fun. Like I think Penn State has legitimate defense, and I don't think they'll get 50 on Penn State. I think Ohio State will get 50 on pretty much anyone else. I think that I mean I could easily be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I don't see anyone beating Ohio State, but Penn State would be the closest one for sure. A dark horse right now for the Big Ten.
Sure. Okay, Auburn and LSU. Kind of an interesting SEC West matchup there. Auburn wins 24-19. Did you get to watch much of this game? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Watched a lot of it. This was the Bo Nix Renaissance, I guess. The revival. I'm not. Yeah, whatever word. The resurrection, maybe, of Bo Nix. Whatever word you want to use. Played really well. He really did. It was. I don't know if you saw this. He had a play for his first touchdown to Jake Fromm's younger brother, Tyler Fromm, where just it was legitimately 7 guys had a chance to tackle him in the backfield for a sack, and was just running around like they could not get him on the ground. He explored every little bit of the backfield. He went all the way to the right, all the way back to the left sideline, and then somehow like gets his and throws a perfect pass to a wide open Tyler Fromm going into the end zone. And from then on, it felt like the game was over. Like it wasn't. I mean, LSU was still leading there, but it felt like the game was over. That's impressive for Auburn. I mean, a huge win coming. They're getting ready to go into their tough stretch of schedule where like they have Georgia next week, and then the rest of the SEC West, which is difficult. But yeah, massive win for Auburn. and on the other side, LSU.
Yeah, what does this mean for LSU? Obviously, like they're I think they're good, but I don't. But obviously, we know they're not great. Like, what is this team? And is Ed Orgeron going to be around a year from now?
No, no, I don't think so. I really don't. I Max Johnson, their quarterback, is good. Like, I think
Yeah,
to put blame on Max Johnson's unfair. I really believe that he's having to carry too much right now. Like, they have no running attack. They
yeah,
cannot pass protect either. Like, so if you have just bad offensive line play, when the offensive line is that bad, I mean, it's just horrible. Like, it's really horrible. And Keishon Butte, the receiver, and Max Johnson are playing well. Like, they really are. I
yeah.
think a number of the LSU receivers are weapons, but they just don't. There's not enough time. Like, they literally do not have time to make these plays. And yeah, and then they become one dimensional. And so the pass rushers just really come after him and dial up blitzes against him. So it's going to be a rough. I think that the SEC West is going to key in on LSU, and they're going to have to win their remaining schedule. I'm going to look it up right here. So they have Kentucky this week,
Ooh.
then Florida, then Ole Miss, then Alabama, then Arkansas. Yeah,
Wow,
that's the next 5 games. That's their
that
next
is
five games.
rough.
That's
That
their next 5 games. Like, do you see them winning 2 of those or 3? I mean, I don't think they'll go 3-2 in those games.
no.
Not in any chance. They're more likely to go 1-4 than 2-3.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Goodness, it's going to get frisky down in Baton Rouge if that happens. So no, given that stretch and that schedule and the way that offensive line is playing, I do not think that Coach O survives this.
Sure. If you ignore the schedule and kind of where they will end up at the end of the year and all that,
Mm-hmm.
they feel a little bit Notre Dame-ish to me this year as far as they should be better. Like they're not playing to their potential. I think they're falling further below their potential than Notre Dame is this season.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still a really good roster. Like LSU has a lot
Yeah,
of talent.
yeah, they do.
And yeah, like that's the kind of stretch that can get a guy fired for sure.
Yep, coaching. Yep.
Okay, Pac-12 South game, Arizona State 42, number 20 UCLA 23. So you kind of opined before this game that you thought
I
this
did.
game was sort of for the Pac-12 South. You still feel
Yes.
like Arizona State's pretty clearly the favorite now?
Yes. I hate to say it, but yes. I was really rooting for UCLA in this game. I did not have money on this game, but they were a lean for me. And had I been forced to choose a side, UCLA would for sure been the side I was on. Um, hey, really impressive win for Arizona State. It makes BYU look really, really good now.
Yes.
BYU looks excellent now because they kind of took apart an Arizona State team that is probably going to be the Pac-12 South champ. Probably. I mean, yeah, it definitely the favorite at this point. Hey, that's a huge win for Arizona State. Huge win for Arizona State. For UCLA, you're wondering where do we go from here with losses to Arizona State and then Fresno State. So, yeah, I'm not sure. The Pac-12. If they could just figure like we say that like they kind of eat their own a little bit, like cannibalize each other. You remember like how the SEC teams used to do that to each other, where they just beat up on each other.
Yeah.
This is like kind of what the Pac-12 does, and like they don't really allow one team to be just excellent. Like I think Oregon versus UCLA, with say both teams had one loss, that's a really really good Pac-12 title game. We're not going to get that. I mean, I seriously doubt whether we'll get that. So. Yeah, I don't know. I was rooting for the Pac-12 here in general. I think the Pac-12 lost overall. The loser is the Pac-12, and they went down with UCLA because I think UCLA had at least a reputable non-con win. They did beat LSU handily, and that's still impressive because LSU's not bad. Arizona State they got beat by BYU, and that's a rough look, I think.
It felt like the Pac-12 was turning a corner this year. Now it sort of feels like they're the Pac-12 of the last 5 years.
Yeah, they completely lost all the progress that they had made the first couple weeks. This past Saturday, it's gone now. It's unfortunate.
Sure. You mentioned BYU. I believe they're now number 10 in the new
They
poll.
are.
So
Yep.
keep an eye on them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Any games we missed that you'd like to talk about?
Fresno State was number 18, lost to Hawaii in a
Oh,
game that I'm sure no one watched because it started so late. But yeah, not a whole lot there. I think it was just maybe interesting. I'm kind of a closet Fresno supporter. Maybe I kind of root for them a little bit. I think their quarterback Jake Haener is a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Hate to see that. I was really rooting for Fresno State to go to like a New Year's Six game or something, and then get beat by Notre Dame by 30 points. I thought that would have been fun.
sure. And most college football fans, they can tell you some of the Group of Five teams are good. Cincinnati's good,
Yeah,
Coastal Carolina's good.
yeah.
Fresno State for a long time has been one of those, like, they're that second tier of
Yep.
the Group of
Hmm.
Five. Like, they're just a really good team. Um, yeah, I'm surprised that they lost to Hawaii. I really am.
Hmm.
But yeah, that is notable for sure. Any other games that we didn't mention?
Um, no, I mean Michigan State covered
Right.
and yeah, rolled over Western Kentucky. Pretty sure they covered. Yeah, I
How
think they did.
how about Nebraska? Boat racing Northwestern 56-7.
Nebraska, ever since that loss, like to Illinois in week 0, it feels like forever ago. In week 0, that after that loss, they have rebounded, and Nebraska is sneaky good. Like Scott Frost and his crew have really impressed since like that was a really rough look losing to Illinois like that in week 0. Since that time, like to rebound and to come back and be competitive, like they're going to be
They
competitive in the
lost
Big Ten.
they lost a couple games that they maybe shouldn't have, but they've been
Oklahoma,
playing.
they could have
Yeah,
easily beaten Oklahoma.
but they've been playing well.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and they will win a number of Big Ten games and probably go to a bowl game this year. And considering how your season started, that's a success. Like that really is successful, and it feels like a stepping stone for like you're improving now. Like they're an improving football team.
So you feel like Scott Frost has you think he will retain his job for next year?
I mean, it's still up in the air. Like he needs to finish strong, and maybe it'd be nice to have like a big win. Like maybe he beats. I'm not sure. Maybe Iowa. I think Iowa plays Nebraska at the end of the year. That would be a big win. Or like, yeah, say he picks up just someone anywhere in there. I hate to sorry to bang on Iowa fans too much, but yeah, I'm sure. Hey, Iowa may roll them too. That could happen. That really could. And they'll absolutely beat the stuffing out of Nebraska, 13-10.
Nebraska
So
will outgain them by 100 yards, but they'll turn it over 4 times to Iowa's
yeah,
0.
yeah. Yeah, and just it'll be just an absolute shootout, and yeah, when I kid because you take the first team to 20, first team to 20 wins that football game. But sorry, I know you put up 50 against Maryland. I do apologize, Iowa fans, but no chance of you getting to 20 this week, right? Can I say that? Knock on wood. I get no chance Iowa gets to 20 points against Penn State this week. Put that in, yeah, put it on the board. I will stand up and say I'm wrong loudly. Like I will apologize if Iowa scores more than 20 points this week.
All right.
How'd our locks do, by the way? Oh no, we talked about like what's our records?
Yes.
What's our records?
So I was 6-2 coming into the week. I'm now 7-3. You were
Okay.
4-4. You're now 6-4. So
Okay. Nice.
together we are 13-7.
Nice.
So
Excellent.
listen to us.
Hey,
Listen
we're
to
almost.
us.
Yeah, that's really good. That's not bad at all.
That is a good record. Yep. Okay. I think that's going to do it for our reaction pod here. A day late. Sorry, that was on me. I mentioned being busy yesterday. I had some family around in the evening that I was hanging out with. So didn't get our instant reaction pod in, but hopefully this will suffice for this week. Okay. Thanks everyone for listening. Yeah. I really like when we have what feedback and stuff like that, whether it's positive or negative. Last week there were people asking me, when is your next episode coming out? Stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. Appreciate it when people say that they're listening. So yeah, keep telling your friends about us. And yeah, tune in a few days. I think we'll probably have a preview pod coming soon. So
Yep.
yeah, see you guys then. For Ashton, I am Vince. Have a great week and God bless.